Hi there, I'm Professor Juris and I'm going to make you a video about negative image printing. And negative image printing is the second or the first assignment that we create in the Photo 2 class. So if you're in Photo 2, this would be the first assignment that you're doing. And there's kind of a reason for that. One is it's a very unique process, and another reason is it's a building block or a building step that you can add other things to as you go through the processes. For example, a sabatier. Once we get to the sabatier process, you would be able to create negative image prints and then sabatier them and come up with something very cool. Now, over the years, I've had a number of students that have actually utilized this process as their main point of focus in their work. And it's so cool that you could even take like mediocre kind of images and print them negatively, and people will think that they're really cool. So it's a good way to start to produce artwork, is to create negative image prints. So to start with, in making a negative image print, you need to make sure you have the enlarger set up correctly. Now, the way that you want to set up the enlarger is the same way that you would set it up for making a contact sheet or for making a photogram. You want the enlarger head up high. You want to make sure the negative carrier is in the enlarger with no negative in it. Open up your lens, and I would open up the lens wide open for this because it takes a lot of time. And then with the safe lights on and the room lights out, you want to focus it so you have a nice square of light being projected that you're going to set your contact printing frame down under. And then you would create a test strip the same way that you would make a test strip for a print, so that you would find out how many seconds it takes. And it generally takes about 50 seconds. So it's a lot longer than your normal making a normal print. The exposure time is a lot longer because you're actually shooting light through a piece of paper. So what we do here when we're creating a negative image print is I have this little contact printing device that we made in here for students to use. And what I'm going to do with this is I would take my print, so you need a print that you've made already, and it has to be dry. And I went ahead and wasted a few sheets of paper out of my box. So this is under room light. This paper's no good anymore, but I just wanted to show you the correct orientation of putting this in the contact printing frame. So when this goes in the contact printing frame, you put the piece of paper down under the glass with the emulsion side up, and then you take the print and you lay the print on top, and then the piece of glass goes over the top of this. So that's very important. Now I'm going to lift this up so you can see it. It's important that the light is going through the print that you've already made and onto the fresh sheet of paper that's underneath. Now I've seen students waste hours trying to make one of these, and they had it the opposite way, where they had the piece of paper on top and they shot light through that, and they still get a little bit of an image, and it's kind of interesting, and they think that they're just doing something small wrong instead of the whole major thing. And what it is when the light goes through this piece of paper, it'll hit the image underneath and reflect back up and give you kind of a ghost image on the paper when you go and develop it. So again, the correct way to do this is to have the piece of paper down with the emulsion facing up, and then you always put the emulsion of the print down against the emulsion, so it's emulsion to emulsion. And the reason that you do that is that will give you the sharpest image when you're making these. You can do it this way by putting this up like this, but when you're doing that, you're shooting the light through the paper too, after the image, so it's the image, then the piece of paper, then the next piece of paper, and it just doesn't come out quite as sharp. So it's better to do it this way. Now, let's say that you had a picture right here, and it had like a sign on it that was in that said National Park, Saguaro National Monument. Say you took a picture of that sign. If you would do it this way, the writing is going to come out backwards. So what you need to do when you make the original print is make the original print with the emulsion up, the negative with the emulsion up rather than the emulsion down, and that's going to make a print with the writing backwards. And then when you go ahead and print it down on top of the piece of paper, the sign will be correct as a negative image print, or the writing will be correct so people can read it. So that's just a little tidbit of something important. So what I would do is actually, I'm going to put my print on top of a piece of paper. I would load this into my printing frame, close this down, and then I would get something like a box, a paper box perhaps, and set this down, and I would give that 10 seconds of light, and then move it, give it 10 seconds of light, move it, give it 10 seconds of light, move it, give it 10 seconds of light, and maybe go up to about 6 or 8. So then what I could do once I developed this is I could count out, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, until I have the print as dark as I want to make it. And then I would go ahead and make that print. And then this is always important. This is something that was taught to me by Fred Picker years ago. And Fred Picker is a world famous printer of fine print, so he really knew how to make photographs. Is that if you don't have another print to compare the print to that you made, like say you make the first one and you just do it at 30 seconds and you say, man, that looks great, that's all I need, I'm done. Well, if you don't have nothing to compare it to, you really don't know if it would look better at 40 seconds or maybe look better at 20 seconds. So I always make two when I'm making these. I will look and think, do I want one a little bit darker, do I want one a little bit lighter? And then once I'm totally done with it, I can compare them and see if there's actually one that I like better. And that's the one that I will go with. Again, you can use your contact printing frame, you know, for doing this. Again, your piece of paper would go down against the black against the black fabric in the contact printing frame with the emulsion up, and then your image is going to go in here underneath the glass with the emulsion facing down. So you're shooting light through your photographic print. The light has to go through the photographic print onto the emulsion of the paper. And then one other thing that I wanted to show you was that some of you may have some of these at home. Some of you may not have ever even seen one of these. But this is a 35mm slide, and you may have shot some of these in the past if you're a little bit older. You know, I'd say if you're around 20 years old or so, you've probably never seen one of these unless your parents have an old slide projector and have some of these that they perhaps shot on vacation. But this is a positive image. So inside here, there's a positive image to begin with. Well, you can actually create these negative images by taking your slide and taking it apart. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky. Let me see if I can get this. I don't have my, there we go. So once I open this up, I can take this out and it's like a negative then, but it's actually a positive image. So what I could do is take my negative carrier then and put the slide in the negative carrier, and then just do a test print for the slide on top of the sheet of paper, and that would create a negative image print because we're going from positive in the slide to negative on the paper, versus if you were making a regular print with film, the film goes from negative to positive. So this is another cool way to do this if you have some of these old slides. Now it's hard to get slide film now, and if you can find it, it's even harder to get it processed, but you might find some places out there that can do it. And you could probably still order some chemistry for it if you wanted to try developing your own slides. It's E6 process. It's fairly easy to do. They've actually really shortened down some of the steps in the processes that are available, so it's something cool to work with. So I think that's it as far as creating a negative image print. So what I'm going to do is make one of the, turn the safe lights out, I'm going to make one of the saguaro cactuses, and then we'll take a look at it. All right, here we are out of the darkroom, and we're going to do our print evaluation now. So this is the image right here that we started with to make a negative image print. I shot this down in Saguaro National Monument in Arizona. And then here's the first print that I made. And I made this one at 20 seconds under the enlarger. So I shot light through this print for 20 seconds with the lens wide open. And I came out with this print, and you know, this is where I'm talking about. You know, you might see this print and think, well, that's good. That's what I wanted. So then you think you're done. But you know, if you make another print, so this was 20 seconds, and what I did is add 10 more seconds, and I went to 30 seconds. And look at the remarkable difference in the print. So this print has much more detail going on, and you know, it's exactly what I want. I could have stayed and made even another one maybe for 40 seconds to see if I could get more you know, detail up in the cactus up there, and I could have actually even tried burning it. So there's a lot of different variables that go into this thing, but that's how they look. So it's pretty interesting, and hope you liked it. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, and we're good to go.